interesting because the coaching industry, as I said, it is booming, and everyone is sort of, I'm going to say everyone, a lot of people are coming out saying, how do I get into it? How do I get a piece of it? And one of the biggest questions I get is like, you know, if we use health coach or wellness coach as an example, I want to be a health or wellness coach, but I know 1,005 other health and wellness coaches out there.
Sure.
What's going to make me any different? And one of the things that I would say to that is we all have a gift of coaching. It's whether we choose to use it or not, but we all have an area of expertise, of passion, and we share that with our clients in our own way. So I would never say that because there are 100 other coaches in your niche out there that you shouldn't do it. I would say, and it's so funny because one of my quotes that I absolutely love is, a rising tide raises all ships. And so when I saw your podcast,
I've never heard that before. I use it every episode.
Oh goodness, you know, and my follow-on to is, you know, rising tide raises all ships, and there is no competition, only collaboration. It is not a zero-sum game. There is enough abundance for everyone and more. And when you go in with that mindset, then you realize like you have a unique gift that no one else can share with you in your way, can connect with your clients in your way. And that is something to keep in mind. If you ever think that, if any of your listeners are ever thinking that, well, I would love to go and be a finance coach, but there are 1,000 other finance coaches in my personal Facebook feed. There is only one of you, and there's a reason there's only one of you, and that's what we use to your advantage.
Right.
So I just wanted to share 3 quick tips with your listeners. If any sort of ambitious, introverted millennial ladies are thinking of stepping into the coaching industry or what that's about. The first thing I would say if you're looking into launching your coaching business is, number 1, choosing a niche, or if you're in the States, choosing a niche. However you choose to pronounce that.
Hey, we spent time in France, so I have to say niche.
And, you know, the reason is because we were talking about this earlier, your coaching skills. The coaching skills transcend the niches, absolutely. But when you choose a niche, there are definitely incredible benefits to that. Number 1 being you're able to build a reputation with a solid, consistent target audience.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, you're able to build content, build your business around that. It does not, as some people believe, it does not limit the amount of clients that you get. It actually increases the amount of clients that you get because you're able to drill down and really nail those pain points and desires that your clients, your ideal clients want. And the example I like to give of that, because it is a little bit counterintuitive when you're like, I want as many clients as possible, so I don't want to niche down. Mm-hmm. And the example I like to give is the one, you know, we're all familiar with, Amazon.com.
Sure.
I don't know if you remember, Kevin, way back, I'm talking like late 90s, early 2000, Amazon was the primary place to buy books online. Like that's mm-hmm. all they did.
Right.
They dominated the space in that there was nowhere else to buy books. They had the best customer service. And they were able to dominate that market. So when they started adding on other services, they started selling household goods, they started selling electronics, they started selling, you know, a whole range of other things. They became a one-stop shop for everything in the world. I think maybe the only thing you can't buy is a house on there. But I literally think you can buy everything else on Amazon. They were able to do that because they built such a solid foundation and such a solid tribe from selling books and from dominating that niche, from becoming the go-to with the best customer service. When they started adding on all these other niches, people just automatically went to them. If they sell that as good as they sell their books, I'm going to be sticking with them.
Yep.
And so that's sort of why having a niche is hugely beneficial if you're looking to launch your coaching business. And people ask, how do I find out like what niche I should be in? Asking yourself a few different questions, to journal about it, to really explore, is one of the best ways. And one of the first questions I would say to ask yourself is to ask, what can you talk about for hours on it? Like, what is it that you love that if someone started a conversation with you, 2 hours would go by and you wouldn't even notice? you kind of get an indication as to what topics you're super passionate about, what topics you have a lot of knowledge on, and you have a lot of experience on. The second question to ask yourself would be, what questions do people come to me for? Like what am I the go-to person for? Because sometimes a lot of people say, I don't have an expertise, I don't have a passion, I don't even know how to answer that question. Sometimes an easier way first is to look at that external validation and say, what are other people coming to you for? And usually you would know, like, everyone comes to me because I'm the best baker in the family or on the block. People sometimes find this question a bit easier. And then number three, what do you enjoy helping others do? Because that's essentially what coaching is. We're here to support our clients in whatever niche you choose. It's about supporting them and getting from A to B. And what do you enjoy helping people do? And that is step number one, is what I'd say. First of all, get your niche down, get super focused and honed in on that. And then number two, getting really clear on your messaging, on your visibility, on your voice that you're using, because this is where we start looking at your, like, branding that personality, branding your business. And we want to make sure that we're doing it authentically. One of the things that I work with my clients on is getting that genuine voice, authentically branding their business, so they're not hiding behind some veneer of generic, or, you know, how to look like 1,000 other coaches. Is to not brand your personality, not let your quirks and your uniqueness come out, because that's what your ideal clients connect with. They want to know what's different about you than other coaches. You may have the same certifications as a coach, you may be in the same niche or similar niche as another coach, but maybe your personality vibes a lot better with someone, and that's what we want to make sure that we're getting out, along with your expertise.
Can I stop you there just for a second? What is your individual unique selling point? What's your USP? What do people see when they first see you? They first hear you, they first see you, they first go to your website. What's the thing that you think is the initial attractant for a potential client?
I love that question. And it's actually something that I get a lot of feedback on. So I really specialize in working with introverted, empath, highly sensitive women, because I'm an introvert, I'm an empath, I'm a highly sensitive woman. And it's something that I struggled with when I got into the entrepreneur space, because I'm sure you're aware, there are a lot of extroverted entrepreneurs. There are a lot of entrepreneurs who follow the sort of bro culture way of running a business. And for someone who's an introvert and who's on the quiet side, it doesn't vibe so well.
Hey, we loud bros, don't we have a space somewhere too?
So I create, this cozy space, this safe space for introverted women who want to have a successful business, but dread the thought of networking, of getting out there, and that's where I excel
I love that. I mean, I think you finally arrived at like the one word descriptor, cozy. What a great description. So I did not mean to throw you off. You were talking about point number two, kind of where you're clarifying your voice and your message. So
yeah. No,
which kind of fits, yeah.
So that's exactly that question, Kevin. It's like sort of like, what makes you unique? How do we brand that? How do we get that out to your ideal client? And one of the ways that we make sure that that clients are writing in their voice is that they're authentic with their writing. Like, they're not just sort of writing or sharing content, whether it's videos or writing or podcast or audio, based off of what they heard.
Sure.
But that sharing their own stories, their own transformation, the transformations of their clients. This does a few different things. It starts highlighting how they're different from other coaches, and it also shares their expertise, that this is what they have gone through, and this is how they've gone to the other side, and how they help their clients get to the other side.
Right.
So I get the question all the time, what content to share? Like, should it be top tips? Should it be how-tos? And the first recommendation I make is always ask your audience. Like, we as online entrepreneurs, we have an idea in our head as to what we think we should write, but your audience is going to have a different idea as to
exactly
what you want to write. an example of that I had recently. One client, she's a finance coach, and she wanted to share content, and she had been sharing content, sort of how to, optimize your IRA, your Roth IRA, that sort of thing. And she was saying she wasn't getting any traction. No one seemed to be interested, but she polled her audience, and she's like, "This is what my audience want." And I said, what were the words when you polled your audience? What were the words that they used? She's like, yeah, they want to know how to retire with money. They want to know how to optimize their retirement money. And I'm like, that's the wording that you need to be using. Yes, you may be sharing the exact same thing, but your audience is looking for that exact wording, that exact phrase. That's how you connect on a deeper level with them. So she changed it up. She started getting engagement, started booking discovery calls. It's little things like that that make a big difference to people's connection with their target audience. And the third step, I would say, if you're looking to launch an online coaching business, is to learn how to make selling feel fun and easy. And this is something I spend a lot of time with my clients, because at the end of the day, we are running a business. So whether you're a health coach, whether you're a mindset coach, or you're a habit coach, or you're a healer, you have to make sales to keep in business. And from my own path with making sales, for my own investment in coaches, I thought that hard selling was the only way to sell. Like when you get people on the phone and you don't hang up till you get their credit card. I was cold calling. I thought that was the only way to make sales. And so it's something that I struggled with at the beginning in my business. And it's only through working with a multitude of different coaches, really honoring my introverted, my empath self, that I was able to create a sales process that worked for me and that does feel fun and easy. And that is something that I work on with my clients, because if we can make sales feel fun, if we can make it feel like really natural and genuine, then you end up making more sales.
Especially for introverts, because they're not going to naturally, I mean, they're not, it's very difficult for them to put themselves out there anyway. And if they do it in a pushy way, they're thinking, I'm offending everybody. I wouldn't like it if some people did this to me. So why am I doing this to somebody else? Exactly. So I love the way you kind of couch that third point. So let me recap real quick. So this is really just how do you launch an online coaching business? I mean, kind of the three top steps, or three initial steps. And one is just, choose your niche wisely, kind of niche down, almost, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but almost niche down till it hurts, type thing. So the second is really, how do you clarify your voice and your message, or how do you, I guess, give voice to your unique selling proposition, and then the third is really launch something that generates sales in a really an easy and a fun way, as you were talking about. So, and within that, the niching, there were, how do you arrive at finding your niche, and how do you, build your reputation and really create quality content around that niche space within that. So, what a great summary of, how to launch an online business. And this will be, on YouTube as kind of a separate, video, that is just, specifically geared at people that are really interested in this particular topic.